Finally, we get to bring you high school sports in the month of February. And I say finally that many times because throughout this month we've had quite the string of bad luck. A whole bunch of cancellations due to some scheduling difficulties, due to some winter weather. But tonight, we finally get to bring you some Suburban East boys basketball action between the White Bear Lake Bears and the Irondale Knights. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us on this production of SCC Sports. My name is David Schuyler. I am the sports producer for Suburban Community Channels. Happy to be with you tonight as we get ready for an important showdown as the regular season winds down for both of these teams. Starters being introduced now as number 5, Jack Janicki, is announced for the Bears. He is our player to watch coming into this game as he leads the Bears in scoring. Also a Division I commit who will play for Wisconsin in the future. Jack Janicki, 340 points on the season, averaging 20 points per game for the Bears. And to anybody who's familiar with White Bear Lake basketball, they basically know that in any given game, it's a really good bet that Jack will lead the Bears in scoring, typically followed by number 34 senior center Wyatt Hawks. On the other side for the Irondale Knights, they are led in scoring by number 45 junior Makai Edwards, who has 266 points on the year for the Knights, which is good for 14 points per game. Coming into this contest, this is the second meeting of the year between these two teams. Earlier in the season, White Bear Lake traveled to Irondale and they beat the Knights 65-59. On the season, the Bears averaging 61 points per game while they're giving up 55. For the Knights, dead even on both accounts, scoring 60 points per game, giving up 60 points per game. So practically the definition of an average scoreline right there as the jump ball gets thrown up, and we are underway from White Bear Lake Area High School. The Bears will have the first offensive possession of the game. Taking it around the key there is Sawyer Collins as he dishes over to Janicki, and Janicki puts up a 3 and gets the Bears on the board early. Working back down the floor now for the Knights is Tyler Smith. O'Brien now with the ball for the Knights. He'll wait for things to develop a little bit and sling it back over to Smith. Back up to the top now is Tamba. But switching back over to the left side, but losing a handle on the ball there is Dadaminches for the Knights, and that'll slip out of bounds, but it was last touched by the Bears, so they'll retain possession. Coming back down the floor now for the Bears is Janicki. He'll head over to that spot on the right side that he liked the first time around. Just slinging it around quickly there. Going up for the 2 is Mizgin, and he gets that to go. So White Bear Lake racing out to a quick 5-0 lead as the Knights will look to respond. Going up for the short-range jumper there was Dadaminches. He didn't get that to go. The Knights quickly working it back around the top of the key. Dadaminches with it again. Goes back for the reverse and lays it in for the Knights. Dadaminches is the number 2 scorer for the Knights coming into this contest. As the Bears quickly work it inside to Hawks, and Hawks goes up for the easy lay-in. So as to be expected a little bit early on here, Janicki, Hawks, Mizgin all scoring for the Bears. On the other side, Dadaminches with the early points as a 3 gets put up, and that's no good, rims out. Rebounded there by Hawks. And Janicki will take it down the floor for the Bears. Janicki thought about shooting it, thought differently, instead swung it over to Zach Nelson. Janicki now Working there on O'Brien, makes a couple of fancy moves. Gives it up to Mizgin. Back on the inside now is Hawks. And that is tipped away. A turnover there for the Knights, as going up for the slam is Tyler Smith. So a little bit of a sloppy turnover there for the Bears, as Hawks tried to get it from the inside back out up top, but it was tipped away for the Knights. As putting up the three here is Nelson, and that doesn't go. That ball will be tossed out, last touched by the Knights. Scooped up there by the head coach for the Knights, Trent Davis. He's in his second season now for Irondale and has been doing a really good job for the Knights. As just 2 seasons ago, they only had 1 win, but then after he took over last year, going 15-13, and the Knights off, well, you can't really say to a start because the season's winding down, but to this point in the season have a 9-12 record as Janicki drives the lane, goes up for the floater and couldn't get it to go, but Hawks there for the rebound, goes up, gets the basket and one. He'll head to the line and try to make it a 3-point play. Hawks with the nice rebound, went up with the left hand and was fouled on the play. First team foul there for the Knights. The Hawks will try to make it 3 points. And does just that. The Hawks quickly with 5 points for the Bears. As the Knights sling it around quickly. Floater couldn't quite go, hit the outside of the rim and falls down. Bears doing a really nice job of rebounding early as they have been able to control possession for the most part. Hawks thought about the outside jumper, but knew better than that. Perhaps not the best idea for the big man. Tried to drive in, but the ball was stripped away. Last hit off of his leg. As we get our first set of substitutions for the game. Checking in is number 32, excuse me. Josh Dagor, the 6'4" senior forward. Knights working it around to Dominguez. Slings it up top to Edwards there. Edwards trying to drive in, but can't quite get around Janicki. Driving on the inside now was to Dominguez, and he lays it in for the Knights off the glass. Back on the other side is Dagor. Couldn't get that one to go. Rebounded there by Makai Edwards for the Knights. He'll try and do it all himself as he takes it in, but too strong off the glass. Back the other way now is Mizgin. Goes up and is fouled on the play. So he'll head to the line for 2. 2 fouls now quickly for the Knights. Number 3, Tyler Smith. As Mizgin is at the line for 2. First one goes. Mizgin now with 3 points for the Bears. And the second one goes as well. So the Bears jump out to a 6-point lead early on here in this one, just getting underway from White Bear Lake. As Dominguez tried to drive the lane there and was fouled on the play, so he'll head to the line for a couple of free throws. First trip to the line for Irondale. And the first one's just short. Second one is short as well. Janicki will headman it up the floor for the Bears. So he looks for things to develop a little bit. Checking into the game for the Bears, there's Jack Setterlin now, number 3, as he works his way across the close side of the floor. Mizgin works it inside to Nelson. He couldn't find anything there as that pass is knocked away by Baggett, who checked in for the Knights. And the Bears will keep possession. Janicki now working in the left side, decides to put it up. That's no good. Rebounded there by Dogor. And it was knocked out of bounds, lastly by Irondale, so Sutherland will look to inbound. Nelson goes up and catches the ball. Sutherland looks to drive the baseline, gets it into Dogor. He goes up and floats it in for his first 2 points of the contest. Eight-point lead now for the Bears as it's very quickly back down to 6 as Edwards drives into the lane and lays it off the glass. Dogor now working around the inside. Nelson thought about the three, gives it over to Miskin. He puts up the three-point attempt, and that one's no good. Rebounded by Tamba for the Knights. Coming back down the floor now quickly is Baggett. Baggett gets it right back, drives the lane, puts in the roller, and gets it to go. Baggett with his first 2 points of the contest for Irondale. Miskin now. Slowly waiting for things to develop, gets it inside to Dogor, and he gets that one to go. Very nice lay in there. 4 points in a row for Dogor. Things very high paced early on in this one. The Bears capitalizing on a whole lot of points, working it on the inside as Irondale tries to do the exact same, and Dadamanches picks up the rebound, the offensive board, and lays it back in for Irondale. Back and forth we go. As the biggest lead in the contest so far has been 6 points for White Bear Lake as Janicki puts up the three, and that one just rims out. Coming back quickly down the floor, looking to capitalize on the fast break. It's Irondale. Slinging it all the way back outside was Dadamanches. But he couldn't get that three-point attempt to go. Sutherland and Janicki will work it back down the floor for the Bears. Nelson now. Gets it to Miskin. Miskin to Dogor. On the inside, that's Nelson going up for it. It was a good athletic play there to keep it in possession of White Bear Lake by Nelson. And a timeout is called by head coach Greg Burke, the first of the contest for White Bear Lake. So about 7.5 minutes into this one, the Bears have raced out to a 16-12 lead as Greg Burke leads the huddle for his Bears. Coach Burke in his second season for the Bears with a 29-20 record. This year has led the Bears to a second place position in the Suburban East Conference as they only have 3 losses on the year in the conference. 2 of those coming to East Ridge, who is in first place in the Suburban East, and the other coming to Stillwater, who's in third place right behind the Bears. Otherwise, a very good season thus far for the Bears, 14-7 overall. And their season thus far has earned them the number 11 ranking in Class 4A in the state of Minnesota. Back into the game now is Collins for the Bears, and he'll headman the attack at the top. Janicki now gets it back out to Hoxton. The big man puts up a three and doesn't get that to go. Tried to follow for the rebound, but it's scooped up there by Irondale. Coming back down the floor quickly now is Baggett. He lost the handle, but quickly got it back. Up top, Tamba will take control, slow things down a little bit. Edwards now. Gets it back to Tamba. Edwards was trying to look for an inlet pass there, but couldn't find anything. He was working inside now. Oh, was looking for the backdoor pass, but couldn't quite get it to go. Coming back now is Collins for the Bears. Miskin gets it to Janicki, to the inside to Hawks, and the big man couldn't get the left-handed lay-in to go. Edwards now. Hands it off to Tamba. Tamba hands it back off to O'Brien, and he works in. And he couldn't get the layup to go, and then he fouled Jeremy Kolb on the rebound there, so he'll pick up his first foul of the game. Team's third foul. One team foul for White Bear Lake thus far, 3 for Irondale. Had a little bit of a scoring drought now for both sides, as had a 16-12 game for about 3 minutes of the contest now. Janicki gets it up top to Nelson. Nelson thought about the 3, but swings it back around to Collins. Hawks on the inside, gets it all the way back out to Janicki. He'll drive the lane, put it in the left-handed lane, and gets it to go. 5 points now for Janicki. Baggett slings it over to Herlovsky. Herlovsky gets it to Jake Chase. Jake, number 2 for the Knights, and his brother Dane is number 15. Jake is knocked away there nicely by Janicki on the steal, and he'll do the nice Euro step and go up and gets it to go. Wanted the foul, but didn't quite get it, but nonetheless, 4 straight points for Janicki, and the Bears have a 20-12 lead. Janicki leading all scorers with 7 points so far. That ball was almost stolen away nicely again by Janicki, but instead it's a 3-pointer from the corner for Max Erlovsky, and he gets it to go. That is the first 3 points of the contest for Erlovsky. Irondale calls a 30-second timeout. So for the Knights, led by head coach Trent Davis, as mentioned before, in his 2nd season. The Knights currently sit in 7th place in the Suburban East Conference with a 5-8 conference record, 9-12 overall. But the Knights have certainly been formidable in the conference this season, as they've had close games with just about everybody in the conference. Most of their contests, in fact, have been single scoring affairs, as their average margin of victory when they're winning games on the year is 10 points, and their average margin for all of their losses is only 7 points. So several very close contests with a lot of the teams in the Suburban East, as we'll touch on again later on throughout the broadcast. Driving the lane there was Setterlin for the Bears, came up just short. Offensive foul there called on the Knights. That was Erlovsky trying to drive the lane, but Setterlin stood his ground, and Erlovsky is called for the offensive foul. Now 4 fouls on the Knights. Setterlin trying to find somebody for an outlet pass, gets it over to Collins. Timeout is called by White Bear Lake, as Coach Burke didn't like what he was seeing. So getting back into the point about the Suburban East matchups for Irondale, since we have a second, looking at some of their games from earlier in the year, when they played Roseville on February 10th, lost that one 52-48, so a 4-point contest there. Lost to Cretin-Derham Hall 54-53, so a 1-point contest there. Then they beat Park of Cottage Grove 80-77, so a 3-point win for the Knights. Pretty much all of their contests in the Suburban East have been by 1 score, save for when they played Eastridge, a 66-43 defeat there on February the 2nd. But otherwise, they're in most of these contests for sure, as the Suburban East is a really tightly contested conference this season. A lot of teams muddying up the middle of the conference as we come down the home stretch. As you saw there really quickly, Cretin-Derham Hall sits at 8-6, Roseville 7-6, Mounds View 7-7, Stillwater 9-5, and all of these teams with great overall records as well. So certainly a very top-heavy conference, and A lot of things could shift one way or another in the conference with every team still having 3 or 4 games left to play. Janicki has checked out of the game for a rest for the Bears. So Collins now will get it inside to Hawks. Hawks outside to Nelson. The defense being very oppressive for the Knights, not giving the Bears a lot of room to breathe, quickly moving around. Swing it around now. Collins will put up the 3. He can't get it to go. Rebound there for Irondale. And Kolb is called for a foul. His first, team second. On the inbound now, Dadam Chase will head it up the floor for the Knights. Defended there by Collins. Working, got it over to his brother Jake. And he couldn't quite get the lay-in to go there. Great footwork by our cameraman Kenny to help out with the ball there. Good job, Kenny. Orlovsky will inbound for the Knights, trying to set up a play on the inside, but it didn't work, so he slings it all the way out to Makai Edwards. Edwards will slow things down. Edwards thought about going left, tried the spin move, instead kicks it out to a wide open Cooper O'Brien, but he could not get the 3-pointer to fall. So back down the floor comes the Bears. Mizgin with it now. Slings it over to Nelson. Now Hawks. Into the game for the first time for the Bears is Corey Rahim, number 23. He got it over to Janicki, and Janicki couldn't quite get the long-range 2-pointer to go. Back down the floor quickly is Edwards. He'll try to get it inside quickly to Cooper O'Brien, but it tipped off his fingertips, heads out of bounds, and the Bears will take possession. Janicki now, as the Knights are kind of doing a subtle full court press. Mizgin double team, gets it over to Nelson. Rahim now. Slings it back over to Mizgin. Back to Nelson. Rahim gets it right back again. The Bears content to just kind of work things around the top until something opens up. As Janicki tries to drive the lane, couldn't get it to go, but picks up his own rebound and puts it back in. Nice touch there from the Janicki to pick up his own board and lay it in nicely for another 2 points. A little bit of a low-scoring first half thus far, as the Bears hang on to a 7-point lead. They have led the entire time from the get-go. Biggest lead now on the night, in fact, for the Bears, as it sits at 7 points. And the Knights find themselves on a bit of a scoring drought as they remain at 15 points. Nelson now swings it around to Mizgin. Mizgin tried to drive the lane, thought better of it, kicked it to Janicki, and now to Hawks. Hawks put up the short range 2, follows it up, gets his own rebound, goes in, and goes up for the lay-in. Hawks now with 7 points on the night for the Bears. Now once again, the biggest lead of the night for the Bears as this now stands at 9 points, 24-15. Apologies for the technical difficulties on our scoreboard there. I'll do my best to try and keep you updated on what the actual numbers are. But nonetheless, now the Knights looking to break their scoring drought. As kind of an awkward right-handed attempt there for Cooper O'Brien, but the offensive rebound is picked up. Dadam Chase. Can't find anybody to get it to. So O'Brien helps him out a little bit now. Really nice tight defense for the Bears. It's Janicki and Rahim up top. Working now down to the inside is Edwards, and he got it to go off the glass. 4 points now for Makai Edwards, the leading scorer for the Knights on the season. In the game, Dane Dadam-Chase has 5 points, 6 points actually, for the Knights. Couple of substitutions happening now. as Hawks will head out. So on the floor for the Bears, you have Raheem, Janicki, Nelson, Mizgin, and Dagor coming back in. Ooh, great steal there by Janicki with the left hand. Fast break for the Bears. He goes up and was fouled hard on the play, so he'll head to the line for 2. That was Jake Chase providing the defense for the Knights, but not really much you can do there when you have Jack Janicki bearing down on you on a 2-on-1. Janicki gets the first one to go. Coach Davis explaining to Chase there how to handle the 2-on-1 a little better next time around. And Janicki gets them both, so the Bears now a perfect 4 for 4 from the line. And Janicki's the first one in double digits on the game. Back on the other end now, the Knights will sling it around. A little bit of pitch and catch going on with Chase and Tamba. Foul there is called on the floor. Didn't quite catch the number of the player that picked up the foul, but regardless, actually it was Dagor who picked up the foul on that one. That was his first, the third foul as a team for White Bear Lake, as that one bounces around and falls. Another 2 points there for Chase, as he's now got 8 for the Knights. Little bit of work still to go for Irondale though, as that'll help as they put up a big defensive stop. Come back down the floor quickly. 2 minutes remaining here in the first half, as White Bear Lake has held a lead throughout the entire half thus far. 3-pointer there for Chase. That'll help out the Knights. Chase now up into double figures for the Knights as they've closed the lead down to 4 points. 26-22 now, the Bears hang on to a narrow lead as Janicki puts up a 3-pointer of his own and he gets it to go. Just like that, pushed back out to 7-point lead for White Bear Lake. A lot of room for Tamba to drive the lane there, but he couldn't quite get the finger roll to go as Janicki picks up the rebound. He'll come back down the floor for White Bear Lake. There really hasn't been a ton of exchanging 3-pointers in this contest, as most of the points have come on the inside, as Dagor there tried to get the 3, but it came up just short. Haven't been keeping track of the actual numbers on the 3-pointers thus far, but the majority of the game plan for both teams has been to work it inside the lane on the dribble drives. And it's been working pretty well so far for both teams, as Edwards checks back into the game for Irondale, and checking back in for the Bears is Setterland, the senior guard. Chase now, little spin move, and he's rejected there by Mizgin. Mizgin back down the floor with it quickly now. Bounce pass to Setterland. He'll work it all the way back around as Janicki puts up the 3 and splash. He's feeling it now as he gets 2 straight 3-pointers for the Bears. Janicki up to 17 points here in the first half. 10-point lead for the Bears. Edwards now trying to back his way down the key, but thought better of it as time is quickly running down on the Knights. They will presumably try to hang on here for the last shot of the half, as that was a bad errant pass, and Janicki back down the floor will go in and lays it in off the glass for 2 more. And another quick turnover as Setterland get it. 5 seconds now for the Bears. Nelson, Setterland got to do something quick, puts up the shot and count it. 2-pointer at the buzzer for Jack Setterland. And just like that, the Bears with about an 8-point swing to take a 36-22 point lead into the half. Janicki had 2 quick 3-pointers there for the Bears. The second of which was off of a quick turnover. And then Setterland scooped up a real key turnover, a real fast turnover there with time quickly winding down. There was about 6 seconds when he picked up the ball. He tossed up the 2-pointer as time expired and got it to go. So the Bears hang on to a 14-point lead here at the half. Quick break and play a couple of PSAs, but right after we come back, we'll take a look at some of the highlights from the first half, talk about a couple of standings points from throughout the season, and we'll have much more coming your way right after this quick break. You're watching White Bear Lake basketball here on SEC Sports.
As a parent, you know you can't prevent every accident. Play it safe with the right equipment. Add a mouthguard to your child's sports or recreational equipment list to help prevent the impact of a painful and costly facial injury. Mouthguard should be fitted so it does not misalign the jaw, lightweight, strong, easy to clean, properly sized, covering the upper and lower teeth and gums. If your child does sustain a facial injury, seek an evaluation from an oral and maxillofacial surgeon. OMSs are experts in handling injuries to the face, mouth, and jaws. Learn more at myoms.org.
Today, 1 in 5 working-age Americans has a mental health condition.
People in all types of jobs and at all levels.
And the key to helping us succeed is a supportive and inclusive workplace.
All of us have a role to play in making that happen.
So what can I do to help?
As a CEO, I can set the tone for supportive culture.
As a manager, I can offer assistance and accommodations.
As a coworker, I can listen and be a source of support to my colleagues.
As someone with a mental health condition, I can ask for what I need to perform my best.
I can offer all employees the supports they need to deliver on the job. For the team
and for the business.
What can I do?
What can I do?
What can I do?
I can remind others
That we all benefit from workplaces that promote good mental health.
mental health-friendly workplaces are more important than ever.
And all of us have a role to play in promoting them.
Learn more at whatcanyoudocampaign.org.
Wait, not in the toilet.
No, don't do that. No.
Don't hit your brother. Ooh.
Not again.
I tell you about playing in the mud.
Raffy, not so close to the pool. Wait!
Frankie, happy. What are you doing? We told you never to touch the gun!
I'm sorry, I didn't think it was that big of a deal.
You could have hurt yourself!
Safely store your guns, unload, lock, and away from ammo.
Dear moms and dads, what you have achieved here today is going to help us and our futures. It is why we are coming up on stage to collect your diplomas.
You know it's true.
Mom, we love you always.
Everything I do, I do.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
South Campus, as it's the Bears hanging on to a 36-22 lead over the Irondale Knights here at halftime. Leading the way scoring in the first half for the Bears, it was Janicki, who had 19 points. And on the other side for Irondale, it's Dane DeDominguez, who had 11 points for the Knights. Taking a look at some of the highlights from the first half here. Predominantly, up until the end of the half, a lot of the scoring came from the inside, as there was a nice turnover and slam dunk there early on for Tyler Smith for the Knights. But for the most part, there was a lot of dribble drives, a lot of driving down the lane, as you see there from Wyatt Hawks for the Bears. He's got 7 points thus far in the contest. And then it was at the very end of the half when Janicki started putting up the threes for the Bears. Driving the lane there for Baggett with the nice lay-in. Doghor working on the inside as well. So whether it's been Hawks or Doghor on the inside, it's been working pretty well for the Bears thus far. But carrying the way throughout the first half, of course, is Jack Janicki. As he picked up, I believe, if my counting was correct, I think he had 4 3-pointers there throughout the first half for the Bears. And there was Setterland at the very end of the half. He had a buzzer beater to give the Bears the 36-22 lead at the half. Taking a look here at the previous matchup between these two teams, they've all been closely contested, even though they're not exactly close in the standings. The past few meetings between the two have been decided by single digits. Earlier in the year, White Bear Lake had the 6-point victory, 65-59, and the Bears have won 6 of the last 7 total. But nonetheless, the Knights have been able to hang in there with the Bears for several of the contests. Doesn't go back any further than 2020 because Irondale was a somewhat recent addition to the Suburban East, as previously they were in the Northwest Suburban Conference. So it wasn't until the 2020 year when the Bears and the Knights started to play each other twice a season. Coming up the rest of the year for White Bear Lake, just a few more games to round out the season before they head into sections. February 27th and 28th, they'll have Creighton-Durham Hall and then Mounds View. Those will be a couple of tough contests there for the Bears. And then they close out the season with Park of Cottage Grove before they head into the section playoffs. For Irondale, on the other side, they'll have Stillwater, Roseville, and Forest Lake before they start the Section 5 4A quarterfinals there on March 9th. And as mentioned, Irondale had close contests with all of those teams the first time around, but they lost to Stillwater. Actually, they defeated Stillwater in a little bit of an upset, one of their nicer wins on the season. And with Roseville and Forest Lake, they lost a very close one to Roseville. At Forest Lake, they lost a tightly contested game there as well. We'll take another quick break, but after we come back, we will have the second half ready to go for you here from White Bear Lake. This is White Bear Lake boys basketball on SEC Sports.
As a veteran, you get a lot of advice, but wisdom's harder to come by. A lot of people imagine themselves in our shoes without understanding the weight on our shoulders. The truth is, few can understand the pressure of finding your own way after serving in the military. But few isn't none. You've got support. You can't control the chaos, but you can chart your way through it. Steady yourself. Take a breath. You're not alone. Learn more at maketheconnection.net.
Where did the time go? Somehow I lost all those years. Where did the time go? I don't know how I got here. Oh, how did I get here?
You've done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
Hey, boss. Okay?
I said I'm fine.
Me the bed, see you in the morning. With the first date, Superman, but it wasn't on it. And we lost it.
You can talk to me.
It's been really, really hard for me.
Welcome back to the gymnasium of White Bear Lake Area High School here in beautiful White Bear Lake on a chilly February evening. We're ready to bring you second half action between the White Bear Lake Bears and Irondale Knights. Starting the second half for the Bears on the floor are the same 5 starters that kicked off the game. So Janicki, Collins, Misgan, Hawks, and Nelson. On the other side for the Knights, you got, I believe, the same starters there as well, with Smith, Dane Chase, that is, Malachi Tamba, Erlovsky, and Cooper O'Brien, as Tyler Smith gets the three-pointer to go. Smith now with 5 points on the evening for Irondale. Back on the other side of the floor, the Bears keeping up with their game plan of just kind of working things around the perimeter, as Nelson there tossed up the three-pointer but couldn't get it to go. With this comfortable of a lead, why not? Back on the other side now is Dane Chase for the Knights. Thought about working it inside, but it wasn't quite there. He'll get it right back. Wouldn't be surprised to see a dribble drive here at all, as it's kind of been the forte for the Knights. Thought about it, but couldn't quite get it to go, so they'll continue to sling it around the top of the perimeter. Dane Chase there puts up the three, and he gets it to fall. So 14 points now for Dane Chase. The 2 quick three-pointers for the Knights. They have all the scoring thus far in the second half, as they've scored on both of their possessions. As battling on the inside there was Hawks for the Bears, and a jump ball is called. The White Bear Lake will retain possession. Collins will do the inbounding here for the Bears. So he'll work it outside to Janicki. Up top to Nelson. Collins couldn't quite see anything there with the play. Janicki now gets it over to Misgan. Misgan will pause and slow things down. Really good defense by Irondale to kick off this second half, as Janicki thought about putting up the contested three but couldn't get it to go. So a little give and go play instead, as Hawks goes way up for the rebound, gets it and lays it back in. Great offensive board there for Wyatt Hawks, as he picks up his 9th points of the game. Putting up the three is Tamba for the Knights, and he can't get it to go. Rebound there for Nelson, and Janicki will take it back the other way for White Bear Lake. Janicki with a couple quick head fakes, slings it around to Nelson. Misgan works on the inside, puts up the right-handed roller, and gets that one to fall. 2 more points for Jack Misgan, picks up his 6th of the contest, and White Bear Lake will take a quick timeout, as they have a 12-point lead really early on here in the second half. But for the most part, White Bear Lake's been able to hang on to sizable advantages through this one. They've been leading the entire time. It started out with they raced out to a 6-point lead, and the closest since then that Irondale has gotten is 4 points, but biggest lead that they had was at halftime when it was 36-22, so 14-point lead has been the biggest for the Bears. But nonetheless, Irondale's hung in there. They've had a couple of scoring streaks that have gone their way, kept cutting into the lead. They just haven't quite been able to find the defensive stops to be able to climb all the way back. So the Bears looking to close out the season series against Irondale with a sweep if they can hang on to the lead for the rest of this one. But we'll see how it plays out the rest of the way. O'Brien now hanging on to it at the top of the key as he'll work it down the right side quickly to Chase. He'll go up and try to put in a little bit of an awkward jumper, but couldn't get that one to go. Janicki now slings it all the way over to Zach Nelson. He puts up 3, and that one won't go. Chase now back down the floor quickly. There was an open look there for Smith, but decided against it. Instead slings it down to the corner, and Orlovsky puts up the 3, and that one falls. Mizgin now, ooh, he was a little bit late, careless with that pass. Hawks will get it back, luckily enough for the Bears. Now working on the inside. Collins goes a great pass there from Nelson to Collins to save it for the Bears down the baseline, and he gets the two-handed lay-in to go. Orlovsky gets it back to Smith at the top of the key, and he'll slow things down and wait a little bit. Can't quite get on the same page with Cooper O'Brien. Chase now. Hands it over to Smith. Smith works on the inside, kicks it out. Nice save there by Orlovsky. O'Brien drives in the lane, and he's denied by Wyatt Hawks. The big 6'8" swing of Wyatt Hawks knocked that one out of the air. Janicki now back on the other side. He'll get it to Nelson, down the floor to Mizgin. Mizgin kicks it all the way back up top to an open Collins. Continuing the quick passes as that one is waved off and we get a foul on the floor. Foul is on Orlovsky of the Knights. That's the first team foul of the half for the Knights. Fouls and free throw shooting, not really the story of the game in the first half at all, as the Bears were a perfect 4 for 4 from the line. And on the other side, Irondale only 0 of 2 from the stripe. So really clean play for the most part. Neither team got to the bonus either, so there wasn't a lot of fouls on either side. And just as I say that, Hawks will get called for the foul as Chase went up for the layup. So he'll head to the line for 2 shots. First one goes at 15 points on the night now for Chase. His brother Jake checks back in. For the Bears, Jeremy Kolb comes back into the game, and the second one can't go. So 25% now are the Knights from the stripe, just 1 of 4. And Janicki will headman things back down the floor for the Bears. Kolb now gets it to Mizgin, works it over to Collins. Collins gets it to Hawks on the inside, working on Edwards there. He's double teamed, gets it over to Mizgin. Mizgin looked like he wasn't exactly expecting it. Collins gets it all the way back to Hawks. He puts up the fadeaway jumper, but that one bounces out. Back down the floor the other way now is Tyler Smith, and he'll go up and is fouled on the play. So he'll head to the line for another 2 free throws for the Knights. Nearly 6 minutes gone here in the second half. And it's Irondale who's led the scoring in the second half thus far, as they have 10 points to their name and the Bears only have 6, but it's still very much early. As Collins will check out and the first free throw rims out. So things not really going well from the charity stripe for Irondale. Smith with the second try. And that one goes. 2 of 6 now is Irondale as they continue to have their little bit of a loose full court press. with 3 players up in the front court. White Bear Lake's able to work it down to the offensive side of the floor as Janicki goes in. Was triple teamed defensively, but nonetheless draws the foul, and he'll head to the free throw line. Janicki, as mentioned, is a Division I recruit for the University of Wisconsin Badgers, so he'll be playing for them in the future as he gets his first free throw to go. Deservedly so, as he frequently has led the Bears in scoring. He has a really nice shooting touch, can put up 3-pointers from just about anywhere, and really doesn't frequently miss, as he'll almost always lead the Bears in scoring and does so in emphatic fashion, constantly putting up 20, 30-some points throughout the year, as he in fact did when he had the highest game total of his he had 33 points in a 60-58 victory against Maple Grove just a couple of weeks ago on the 13th in a huge win for the Bears. As mentioned earlier on the broadcast, White Bear Lake currently sits at number 11 in Class 4A as we come down to the end of the stretch. Some of the other teams in the Suburban East find themselves in the top 20 as well, as Eastridge, who's in first place in the Suburban East, sits at number 6 with a 16-6 record, and Stillwater is ranked number 16 in Class 4A with a 13-9 record. Up at the top 5, you got Park Center, who is undefeated on the year, perfect 22-0. Lakeville North, Wayzata, Minnetonka, and Eastview. And as it happens, too, the Bears were supposed to play that number 3 ranked Wayzata team on Wednesday night, but that was unfortunately canceled due to the large dumping of snow that we got. Oh, I'm sorry, correction. That was actually supposed to be played just last night, but that one was canceled because of the large amounts of snow. My bad there. But nonetheless, play has resumed out of the timeout as a 3-pointer is tossed up there for Irondale, but that can't go. Janicki with the rebound. Oh, great spin move around the defender there by Janicki. He'll kick it back out. But the look wasn't quite open there for Kolb. Hawks now. He'll work it on the inside. Gets it out to Misgin. Kolb. Back to Janicki, who started this whole play. Misgin looks for an open man, can't quite find it. Nice save there from Kolb, but unfortunately just tosses it right into the defender, Tamba. So back on the other side go the Knights, but there's a turnover there, scooped up by Janicki. Coach Burks now will call a set play for the Bears, wanting to slow things down a little bit, or Burke, excuse me. As that almost worked for the Bears on the inside, as the basically every single fan in attendance here let out an exasperated gasp on the play as they couldn't quite get that one to go. A steal back at the other end now as it's Edwards who works up at the top, but he's fouled by Misgin. That is Misgin's first foul, the team's third foul of the half. On the inbound now, Dadam Chase will take it. Go in the lane, and a really nice backdoor pass to Edwards, but he couldn't quite get the roll in to go. Setterland now for the Bears. Gets it over to Janicki. Janicki working on Baggett there. He'll work all the way around the left side, kick it back out to Kolb. Kolb puts up the 3, and that one doesn't go. Hawks with the rebound, goes up to the board, and he lays it in nicely. 11 points now on the night for Wyatt Hawks. And the Bears with a 13-point lead. Jake to Diamond Chase now will work the ball around to Baggett. Baggett tries to go inside, but it's stolen away there, and back down the floor quickly is Doghor. He gets it over to Hawks, and Hawks goes up for the big two-handed jam. Boy, he really doesn't have to jump much for that one at 6'8", but nonetheless goes up and throws it down with authority. And back on the defensive side of things, it's Hawks who goes up with the big block. And then another time he knocks the ball away. Turnover back the other side. Janicki slows things down and goes up and emphatically puts up the left-handed layup. Boy, Baggett was really fooled on that one, and he looks disappointed headed down the floor as he just completely raced past Janicki. Timeout is called by Irondale as Coach Davis really doesn't like what he sees, as that is a very quick 6 points for White Bear Lake. And things need to be slowed down just a little bit for the Knights before it gets too out of hand, just in case it hasn't already. So Janicki now with 23 points on the night for White Bear Lake. And Hawks with 13, so it's basically right up the alley for the Bears. Has been the MO most of the season, is Janicki and Hawks have been the 1-2 scoring for the Bears. But understandably so. I mean, it kind of seems like no matter who the Bears go up against, they just can't seem to guard Janicki, and that's exactly why he's D1 talent. So coming out of the timeout now, 9:16 to go here in the second half. White Bear Lake with their biggest lead of the contest was 17 points. Inbounding on the offensive side of the floor for the Knights will be Erlovsky. As Irondale's going to have to start scoring and start scoring fast if they want to climb back into this one. And just as I say that, Dane Didaman Chase picks up 2 more points to add to his total. He's got 17 on the night. Janicki now content to take things slowly here for the Bears. Kolb will drive it in. Looked like he had a little bit of an opening, but decided against it. So is Janicki, who calls the play. Kolb now circles back around, gets it to Setterland. Now Nelson, little pitch and catch on the outside. Kolb puts up the 3 and it bounces out. Back on the other side of the floor, it's Tyler Smith who tried the spin move but couldn't get it to go. Edwards now tries to drive the lane, but great defense there from Dogor. As Dogor picks up the charge. Offensive foul there called on Dane Didaman Chase for the Knights. Great defense there from Dogor as he got in the middle of the lane and stood his ground, and the Bears will take over possession. That was a really nice play from Dogor as he rolled from... Is there a change in the play here? Oh, interesting. They did change the call. So the foul actually is called on Josh Dogor. And Didaman Chase will go to the line. There must have been, I think one ref saw that it was in fact a charge, but the other saw that Dogor must have been moving his feet inside the lane. So the basket counts for Didaman Chase. And he tacks on the free throw to make it a 3-point play for Irondale. That's interesting. It's not too frequently you see one referee overturn the other on a call on something like that. But nonetheless, that's exactly what happened. Turnover now for the Bears as heading back down the floor quickly is Erlovsky for the Knights. Erlovsky gets it right back. Defended there by Setterland. Didaman Chase. Dane works it around, slows things down. Tries to put up the jumper and can't get it to go. Dogor with the rebound, dishes it to Janicki. Janicki will work it down the floor as he's double teamed. Setterland now works it out down the left side to Kolb. Turnover there as Edwards step in and takes the ball, goes up and slams it down for the Knights. Not a great turnover there for Sutherland as he simply didn't see Edwards sneaking up the floor. And Janicki knew it instantly as soon as the ball went that way. Bears getting a little bit sloppy now as the lead has been cut down from 17 to 10 as the Knights find themselves in a bit of a run with a few turnovers. And now another foul is called on the Bears, and just like that, they have 5 on this half. Doghor himself has 4 personal fouls, so he'll check out of the game. Kolb checks out as well, and Sutherland. What's coming back into the game is Misgen and Collins for the Bears. Dane Dadamanchase now couldn't quite get the roller to go as Nelson scoops up a nice rebound and makes a diving play to get the ball back in. Collins will slow things down a little bit and get it to Janicki. Janicki now, double teamed up top. Does a nice job to sling the pass over to Nelson as Misgen will put up the 3, and that one just barely bounces out. Hawks now battling for it underneath the hoop. Last touch by Irondale. That one looked like it could have been called either way, but nonetheless is knocked out of bounds, last touched by Irondale, so the Bears will retain possession as Sutherland will look to inbound. Janicki now with a nice little spin move around 2 defenders, couldn't quite get it to go. Rebound Irondale, working back down the floor is Jake Dadamanchase. Jake dishes it off to Edwards. Jake now puts up the jumper, and he gets that one to go. Things are getting a little bit tighter as we come down the stretch here, as what was a 17-point lead has been knocked all the way down to 50 to 42. Sutherland now swings it to Misgen. Janicki thought about going to the right. Ooh, and another turnover for the Bears is coming back down the floor as Tyler Smith. Smith with the 1-2 Euro step goes up and count it. Basket counts and headed to the line for another attempt. Tyler Smith letting the White Bear Lake fans know what's up as this lead has dwindled all the way down to 6 with the chance now at the line to make it 5. Ooh, with the offensive rebound, though, it seems like momentum is completely swung into the favor of Irondale. Tamba couldn't quite get the left-handed layup to go, but he's fouled hard on the play by Wyatt Hawks, so he'll head to the line for 2. Of note, as we come down the stretch, though, as the Bears now have 7 fouls, so Irondale is in the bonus and will have free throws with any fouls the rest of the way. But of note, the Knights are now just 3 of 9 from the free throw line. So only 33% for the Knights as that one goes. So 4 of 10 now. But still, when you come down the stretch, especially when you get to be in the bonus, free throws can start to tell the story. White Bear Lake now will try to get back into a rhythm of how they got to their sizable lead. Janicki gets it over to Kolb. Hawks now with a spin move on the inside, and he can't get it to go, so Edwards with the rebound. Edwards racing down the floor, spin move, goes in, awkwardly tries to put up a roller, but can't get it to go. Rebound, and the floater goes for Irondale. Now it's just a 3-point lead for White Bear Lake. Sutherland now gets it to Janicki. An errant pass goes nowhere as Collins tries to save it. And coming back down the floor is Irondale, and that one's knocked away. Edwards scoops it up. The Knights now still a boatload of time, and it's just a 3-point game. More than willing to just methodically slow this down as they have crawled all the way back into this one, and things are getting very interesting as we head down the wire. White Bear Lake now has been in a bit of a drought for a little bit as Irondale seems to have figured out the scoring attack for the Bears. Janicki's gone a little bit cold this half. I believe he's only got 1 3-pointer to his name. Not a whole lot of other scoring coming from the Bears throughout this half. They did have the good stretch there when they went up, I believe it was 50-38. And we've had 9 straight points for the Knights, but there was the scoring run that the Bears had where there was 3-pointer, and then Hawks had the slam dunk to cap the whole thing off and caused Irondale to call a timeout. But since then, the Knights have been relentless, picking up or causing Bear fouls on the offensive side of the floor, and on the defensive, they've had a number of turnovers that have gone their way. And just chipping away piece by piece here, and they find themselves down by only 3. Chance to close the gap even more now is on the inside. I didn't quite catch what was called there. Cooper O'Brien is dumbfounded, though. He wanted the foul, but nonetheless, it's an offensive foul that's called on Irondale. So White Bear Lake will get possession. Must have been a charge that was called underneath the hoop there. Janicki now will work it up to Mizgin. Mizgin works all the way down, but he's triple covered there. Hawks will sling it back up to the top. Janicki now to Setterland. Hawks. Back to Janicki. Janicki. Boy, he just hasn't really been able to find many openings on the inside at all as Edwards gets the steal and goes up for the lay-in. 1-point game with 4 minutes to go here in the second half. Edwards now with 6 points on the night for the Knights. It was as much of it as an 18-point lead for White Bear Lake, and Irondale has managed to scratch, bite, and claw their way all the way back and now find themselves trailing by just 1. White Bear Lake needs something to go their way, and quickly, as Hawks will go up, and he emphatically gets it to roll off the glass. He said enough is enough on that one and just kind of took matters into his own hands and just thumped it off the glass real hard for the Bears. Back on the other side now. Edwards kicks it back. Oh, it's almost stolen away there by Mizgin, as now it is, but a jump ball is called. As we get a whistle on the far side of the floor, and I think a warning has been issued to the Knights bench as Coach Trent Davis was doing a lot of yelling at the refs there, and we got a whistle. I think that was just a warning, no technical call or anything like that. But nonetheless, the jump ball goes to the favor of the Knights, so they'll keep the possession as they look to tie this one up. Smith now kicks it up top to Dane to Diamond Chase. Back on the other side now. Trying to look for the inside pass, couldn't get it, but nicely saved there as Diamond Chase drives the lane and kicks it out, and the layup is good. O'Brien with 2 more points for the Knights. Setterland now trying to push the White Bear Lake lead back up. Janicki back inside to Setterland. That was such a nice play. Hawks goes up and tries to slam it, but is fouled on the play. So nonetheless, he'll head to the line for 2. That's only the 4th team foul on the Knights thus far in this half, so they still have a few fouls to give. The Hawks at the line. First one is good. So the Bears maintain their perfect stretch from the charity stripe, 5 for 5 thus far. And this kind of feels like a big free throw here, as you want to have the 3-point lead as he gets it to go. So 6-4-6 are the Bears. Now a 3 just ties it for the Knights. As since things have gotten this tight, it feels like every point matters that much more. Or every free throw matters. As an offensive foul was called there on the rebound. So White Bear Lake gets the ball back. They now have a chance to push this to a 2-possession lead with just over 2 minutes remaining. Janicki will methodically work it down the floor. He gets it up to Hawks. Mizgin now. And the Bears can hang on to the ball as long as they want to at the top of the frame, so long as they don't cross back over half court. They don't have to score. They really have to force the Knights to play good defense here, as there is no shot clock that'll cause them to do so. As a terrible pass there from Collins sails out of bounds, not on the same page as Janicki stopped, and Collins thought that he was going to keep going. So Irondale gets the ball back with a chance to tie this thing up. To Diamond Chase now, leading scorer for the Knights, so of course the ball's going to be in his hands. Gives it over to his brother Jake. Jake gives it back over to Dane. Dane works over to the left. Got a good matchup there with Mizgin. Slung it back around. Irondale really trying to look for the good shot here, as they don't want to toss up anything errant. Driving into the lane. Oh, and a foul is called. Setterlin can't believe it. He thought it was all ball, but a foul is called. And since it's the 8th foul of the half for White Bear Lake, Jake to Diamond Chase will head to the line for 2 free throws. First one's good. With the Knights now just 5 of 11 from the stripe. But it feels like the pass free throws don't necessarily matter now. It's just going to matter what happens here down the stretch, as it's a 1-point game, 1-possession game with 1:12 remaining here. The Knights will go full court press as they have fouls to give. Janicki faked like he was going to go slow, instead speed things up down the floor. I wouldn't be surprised to see the ball in his hand a lot on these possessions, as things really start to matter. Coach Burke checks out the clock, sees how much time is remaining. Irondale really needs to think about starting to do something here. Great pass there as Mizgin gets it. Setterland, as a timeout is called on the floor by Coach Greg Burke with 46 seconds remaining. Gonna look to drop, full timeout called here. Gonna look to draw up the perfect play, as he didn't quite, they kind of looked like they were just slinging the ball around. They got lucky though. They had a really good pass there to Mizgin, and they were able to scoop it up. But Irondale might have to think about fouling on this next possession. That might have been exactly what the coaches were talking about there, as the Knights coaches were kind of huddled together, and then Trent Davis went into his team's huddle to tell them what the plan is. But with 46 seconds remaining, I don't know, you probably can afford, he might be telling his team to look for a turnover as long as it stays above maybe 25, 30 seconds or so. But if they can't get a turnover that quickly and it gets to be too little time left in the game, like below 30 seconds, below 25 seconds, that might be when it gets to the point where they need to start fouling. I don't think they're at the point right away by any means where they need to foul yet. They've still got lots of time to work with. I mean, 1 turnover, 1 layup, and they suddenly change the entire dynamic of the game, and they're the ones who have the lead. Plus, it's very important, they still have 2 fouls to give, as they only have 5 team fouls on the half. I believe 7 fouls is good for the bonus here at the high school level. As the check-in will come from Sawyer Collins right in front of me to the left here. And he'll get it all the way back to Janicki. Very important inbound is good there. And the Knights are not going to foul, but they'll try to double team as best they can. Hawks now gets it to Janicki as we get under 35 seconds. And a foul is called on Dane to Diamond Chase. But nothing going to result from it, as all it does is stop the clock, as that's still only the 6th foul for the Knights. Very important inbound here as Hawks gets it, goes in, and is fouled. And that'll be the 7th foul. So Hawks will head to the line for a 1-and-1. 7 fouls now for Irondale, 8 for the Bears. whatever fouls happen the rest of the way will end up in free throws. As Hawks with a very important 1-and-1 here. And the first one goes. .30 seconds to go. Crucial free throw here for Wyatt Hawks, as the Bears have been perfect 7 for 7 from the line thus far. 8 for 8, as they demonstrate just how important the free throws are as you come down to stretch. 3-point game now for the Knights as they need to set something up quickly, and a timeout is called. 26 seconds remaining. Full timeout is called by Irondale. From all the basketball that I've watched, I would say all the professional announcers at this point would probably be saying there's 26 seconds left. You don't need a 3. But I would tend to disagree. I really would. Because, well, I guess if you get an insanely quick 2, but the thing is with the high school, with not having the shot clock, if you get an insanely quick 2 and then foul, you're hoping and praying that White Bear misses the free throws at the other end. I guess it wouldn't be the double bonus quite yet. So maybe that would be the play. But regardless, in these situations when it's coming down to the wire, whenever they say that a team doesn't need a 3 and they opt for really quick points, I feel like it rarely works out. And maybe that's just me. I admittedly don't watch a ton of basketball, a little bit more of a hockey guy, quite honestly. But nonetheless, there's a reason that I'm sitting over here at the announcers table and the coaches are over there on that side of the floor. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest when all is said and done to see Irondale go for a really quick 2 out the gate here. As they kick it all the way back. That's interesting. He's going to have to take some time to work down the floor there. Really impressive, good defense there by Collins. As Irondale at least needs a bucket, and they don't get it. Edwards with the rebound goes up and he gets it. 13 seconds now as the Knights need a foul. Setterling gets it and is fouled instantly with 8 seconds to go. So that did end up being the game plan for the Knights, and they did, in their defense, choose a good person to foul. As Setterland only has 2 points on the night, and these will be his first free throw attempts. And it's a very crucial 1-and-1 here as the first one does go. Sigh of relief there for the Bears as they push it to a 2-point lead. Still really feel like this is incredibly important as everybody identifies who's they're going to be defending back down the floor. If he makes this, the Knights need a 3-pointer, and they don't. Tipped back. Edwards has it now back down the floor. A 3 could win it for the Knights. He decides to drive the lane, goes up, can't get it to go. Rebounded there by Hawks, and he claims it, and time runs out, and the Bears hang on for the narrow 57-55 victory. Oh my gosh. After he missed that free throw and Edwards was racing down the floor, it really looked like he was thinking about pulling up for the 3-pointer, but decided against it and instead drives the lane and couldn't quite get the finger roll to go, and it was rebounded there by Hawks. So the Bears hang on. And interesting enough, when Hawks picked up that rebound, it seemed like there was a little bit of time on the clock. He was fouled when he grabbed the ball. And we heard the whistle when there was a little bit of time before the buzzer hit, and that's after the game ended. That's what the Irondale head coach was arguing to the refs, but the refs just said, nah, the clock's on 0. It was at 0 when we blew the whistle, so we're getting out of here, and the Bears get the victory. Boy, what an ending to that one. It was I thought the Bears were going to run away with it for sure. They were up by 17, 18 points. They were winning by 14 points at the end of the first half there. But Irondale crawls all the way back, manages to make it a tight game. They get all the way within 1 point, but it's White Bear Lake who hangs on for the 57-55 victory. Boy, what a game for White Bear Lake. And what a game for our first one for the month of February. We finally get one in, and it amounts to being one of the most exciting games that we've had this entire winter season. Well, thanks everybody so much. You picked, if you joined us tonight, you tuned in, you picked a really good one to tune in for as the Bears pick up an important Suburban East victory heading down the stretch with the final few games remaining here in the regular season. So, for all of us here at SCC Sports, I'm David Schuyler. On camera for us tonight, we had Kenny Ronan and Miranda Zabel and Seth Zabel in the truck. Filling in and directing for me was Arlen Becker, and doing audio and replay, Chris Stoltzman. Thanks everybody once again. The White Bear Lake Bears hang on for the 57-55 victory over the Irondale Knights. This has been a production of SCC Sports. We'll see you for some section playoff action from the hockey arena or basketball court real soon.